You may have seen recently is Hollywood star Selma Blair appearing on the latest cover of British Vogue, talking about coping with multiple sclerosis.
Yeah, 130,000 people live with the condition, and as it's MS Awareness Week, Dr. Ranj's here to start with by telling us exactly what it is, maybe.
Yeah, so MS is an autoimmune condition, which basically means that the immune system turns on your own body. And in the case of MS, it starts to attack the nerves of the brain and the spinal cord predominantly. And then what happens is it actually attacks the coatings of the nerves, the myelin sheath, and it damages those and it scars them. As you can see on that picture there, you've got a normal healthy nerve cell and one that's been damaged by MS. And that disrupts the ability of the nerve to carry messages. It can misfire signals as well, and that's what results in the symptoms of MS. Now, we don't know what causes MS. There's lots of theories, one being vitamin D deficiency over a long period of time, another being that it could be triggered by certain viruses like Epstein-Barr virus, which causes glandular fever. It's one of the viruses that does that. But what we do know is, for some reason, it's more common in women, 2 to 3 times more common, and that could be, we think, related to hormonal reasons. The other thing we know is that there are 2 main types of MS. There is the more common version, which is called relapsing remitting MS, where you get symptoms in sort of flare-ups, then it calms down where you're symptom-free, and then it comes back, and then it calms down, and you go through this cycle. That's more common. The other type is where your symptoms start and they just progressively get worse and worse and worse. That's called progressive MS. The interesting thing is that people that do have relapsing remitting MS do often go on to develop a progressive form. We call that secondary progressive MS.
You keep mentioning symptoms.
Yes.
What are the main ones to look out for? And if you have them, what do you do?
Well, because it can attack any part of the nervous system, the brain and spinal cord, symptoms can vary from people to people. And they could start as something really, really minor, like tingling or numbness in the hands and feet. Some people get imbalance and coordination problems. You may get fatigue, and all the way through to visual disturbances where you've got problems with your eyesight, problems with your bladder, muscle spasms and stiffness. So it can vary a lot. If you think you've got symptoms like this, it's important to see your GP. And if they think that you may have MS, they'll refer you to a neurologist and you'll go on to have tests. Often you'll have blood tests to rule out other things, scans of your brain and spinal cord, nerve function tests, etc.
And it's about management, I'd imagine.
Yes, yeah. And if you do have MS, most people are under what we call the care of a multidisciplinary team, lots of experts and specialists, including physiotherapy, occupational therapy. But there are things that you can do for yourself to try and help yourself. Important things like looking after your general health, that's always important, but physical activity can help symptoms of MS. If you smoke, stop smoking, because we have evidence that that can help to slow the progression of MS actually. And coping with changes in the weather, especially as we come into warmer months now, hopefully, some people will find that their symptoms get better. Other people may find that their symptoms get slightly worse, and it may involve having to keep cool to try and manage some of those symptoms.
That surprised me, because I thought you were meant to be in sunnier, warmer climes, but just see how your symptoms play out.
It varies from person to person.
Listen, it can be scary if you know somebody who's got MS, because it's degenerative, but we want to say a big thank you to Rory, who got involved to share his positive outlook. He was diagnosed with MS in 2014.
I find that life still goes on. It doesn't matter that there are some things that I can't do anymore. There are other things that I can still do. I'm still able to go to the cinema, to the theatre, have meals out with my wife. Currently, there is no cure for multiple sclerosis, but there are lots of medication that is available to help people to relieve the symptoms that they're receiving. There is still plenty of hope. And not before long, someone will find that cure.
And thank you so much to Rory for sharing that. And like he said, there is still hope. Unfortunately, we don't have a cure, but people talking about it openly helps to raise awareness of the condition, and it helps to remind people that they're not alone. I myself have had a bit of experience with MS. I had a condition called trigeminal neuralgia. We've talked about it on the show before. And as part of my workup to work out what was going on, I had an MRI brain scan which showed changes that looked like MS. Fortunately, my other tests had come back negative, but it's still very much a case of watch and wait for me.
So yeah, but there is a little bit of hope. There is a potential big breakthrough when it comes
Yes.
to progressive MS. There is a trial.
Yes, so there is what we call a super trial called the Octopus trial going on. And the reason it's called Octopus is it's got several sort of parallel arms of the trial happening at the same time. It's looking for treatments for progressive MS, and we don't really have good treatments for that at the moment. And it's refashioning existing medications like metformin, which is a type 2 diabetic medication that we use. And the reason it's quite exciting, it tests multiple treatments at the same time. It can move patients between the different arms of the trial depending on whether treatments are working. And we can add in new drugs, potential treatments at the same time, and we can get results pretty quickly from this. And that's why it's exciting. If you suffer from MS and you want more information, you want to register, go to the UK MS Register and you can find out how to get involved.
Fantastic. Wouldn't that
Thanks,
be
Dr. Hodge.
wonderful? Thanks.